Welcome guys to my channel Startup Guy. It has been nearly 9 months since the launch of the new M1 chip, also known as Apple Silicon. This new introduction has brought a lot more to Macs than any previous release by Apple. But is it worth upgrading or buying a new MacBook Air or MacBook Pro now? Is the software world ready for the transition from Intel based Macs to M1 based Macs? Today, we will dive into a very specific question, and if you are a student or a developer, this video is for you. Before we move ahead, make sure you have subscribed to the channel and give a thumbs up if you like the content. So let's get started. Is Apple M1 ready for mobile application development using Flutter? That's our question today. Let me explain to you. Apple now works on ARM based processors and many softwares are still not compatible to work with ARM processors due to the difference in its instruction code. Apple was aware of this issue, and so to make life easier for users, it introduced Rosetta, which translates ARM based instruction code to 86 instruction code, which allows user to use the software even when not compatible. This is good for a short run, but in the long run this uses a lot of swap memory, which is not good for the SSD, thus creating an urgent demand of native apps and softwares. Apple introduced its M1 chip on November 10, 2020, and currently it is being used on MacBook Air, MacBook Pro, Mac Mini and iMac. The Geekbench score says that it has outperformed the older version of Intel Macs by nearly double the score. So, are these sweet, powerful machines ready for mobile developers? So, let's talk that for a Flutter developer, or you can even consider mobile application developer in general, there are few basic tools required. The most important one being Android Studio, Xcode, Dart and Flutter. Flutter is a software development kit introduced by Google for cross-platform application development. As you watch, Flutter has already updated its version, which is compatible natively with Apple Silicon. But still there are some binaries which use translations for which Rosetta 2 is needed. Even after installing Flutter, you get into this error which is on your screen right now if Rosetta is not installed. A new update is expected by October end to resolve this issue. The Flutter SDK depends on a language to write the modules. The language mostly used is Dart. On 20th July 2021, Dart was available natively for Apple Silicon based Macs and no issue have been reported till date. The update is available on the dev and beta channels. Xcode is an Apple developer product, and its compatibility with Apple Silicon M1 was the first to arrive. This year, at the Developers Conference, Xcode 13 was introduced, which is now available in the beta version. Usually, while installing Xcode, people might face some minor issues in updating the path for the terminal to execute the commands directly. Comment below if you want me to make a video on that too. The biggest buzz in the developer community when Apple announced M1 was about Android development, Android Studio, and Android emulator. At the start, for a month or so, nothing was compatible. Then came mid December when Google rolled out an update of Android Studio, which started working natively on Apple's silicon. But this update had issues, bugs, and the emulators were still not working as M1 did not support virtualization like Intel did. This made the developers worried about buying the MacBook. Google took a good amount of time, but on 28th July of 2021, when the Arctic Fox version was announced, came a helping hand for Apple Silicon from Google. Majority of Android Studio works natively without the need of Rosetta. The emulator works now on Apple Silicon with some minor bugs, but the NDK support still requires translation. So, if your code has C or C++ native codes and dependencies, building that would still require you to install Rosetta 2. Gradle is at its 7.0 version and it's completely native, requiring no translations at all. So, end verdict from my end for developers and students looking to buy new MacBook as the university programs are starting is that this is the best time to buy a MacBook Air or a MacBook Pro. And if you reside in India, then you can get an AirPod free with it as per the student plan from Apple. That's all I have for you today. See you in the next video. Please like, share and subscribe. Peace.